Good.
Yeah.
So Parkinson's has been building in intensity for more than 200 years. It's the world's fastest growing neurological condition, brain disease. The number of people diagnosed with Parkinson's over the last 25 years is going to double by 2040. We have Parkinson's, I like to say, is a runaway freight train that only superheroes could stop. Enter the PD Avengers. I'm going to let in some people in the waiting room. Okay. Today, we hope to answer your questions, clear up some confusions, maybe empower you to take action, and really get you as excited about the PD Avengers as we are. My name is Larry Gifford. I am the host of two podcasts. One is called When Life Gives You Parkinson's. The other is the Michael J. Fox Foundation Parkinson's podcast. And then I am, according to Matt Eagles, yesterday he dubbed me Chief PD Avenger. I think we need to work on that title. But I do have PD, and I am probably responsible for all of this. So I welcome you all here today, and I hope you get a lot out of it. We are meeting almost 4 months to the day that we had our very first informational meeting about the PD Avengers, July 13th, 2020. And so it's exciting to sort of take stock a quarter into our initiative. So we're very excited about today. If you could mute yourself, that'd be great. Tim Hague was unable to be here today, but he is on the executive committee with me, along with Sonia Mather. Hello, Sonia.
Hi there, Larry.
And then Helen Matthews from the Cure Parkinson's Trust has been a really terrific resource and mentor. Helen, thanks for being here.
Pleasure. Sorry, I was on mute.
And I'll introduce you to the rest of the founding members in a bit, and some other folks. We are a Parkinson's Action Committee, I like to say. We're not a charity. We are about uniting our community and our organizations, working together to make life better for people who have Parkinson's, with the ultimate vision of ending Parkinson's disease. We are a patient-led organization that does not fundraise and operates in cooperation and collaboration with other PD organizations. So we are not competition. So let me take you through what we're going to go through today. We just saw the welcome, and then the PD Avengers origin story. We'll do that quickly because I think most of you have probably been through that or read it on the website. We're going to provide some of the answers to the most pressing questions that we receive. We will revisit the vision, mission, and values, the P.A.C.T. and the pillars. There's some early successes that we'd like to share with you and what you can do. And then we'll get into some Q&A. So here we go. This is, hello? Can you please mute yourself? That would be great. I got two more in the waiting room. Here we go. Oh, Matt Eagles, here he comes. He didn't even get to hear me.
Hey, still Dave, I'm coming back.
Here we go.
Coming back, hold on.
And if you can mute yourself, that would be great as we continue. This book, if you haven't read this book was life-changing for me. Frankly, it's my favorite of the Parkinson's books so far because the first part's really a comprehensive history of Parkinson's, and then it gives you this prescription for how to take action to help end Parkinson's, which is genius.
Listen to this. It's about Parkinson's.
And if you could mute yourself, that would be great. And so I want to just play a little clip from an interview that I did with some of the authors.
Everybody's willingness to act. You know, I think.
So can you hear that?
It has to do with a lot of things. One is, I think, and I've said this on numerous occasions, and I'm going to say it here again to the Canadian folks. People with Parkinson's are among the nicest people on the planet, yourself including. But I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You know, I chose a career in medicine. This is a quick private note, because my mother had multiple sclerosis, but thank God I made a switch to Parkinson's, because the people are just wonderful. The families are wonderful. They are amazing in their resilience in fighting against this ugly disease. But at the same time, that fighting spirit does not translate into fighting against governments and the injustice. They fight against the disease. But I think we as a community, and by we, I mean the patients, the families, we as providers, professionals, are way too kind, way too passive, not knocking on the door. And referring to my friend Ray Dorsey is, in the book, but this is all Ray's idea, not mine, is he likened it to the HIV problems in the 70s and 80s, when the people were chaining themselves to the doors of pharma companies, demanding better treatments. And HIV has changed from a deadly disease into now a chronic condition. And we're not saying that maybe people with Parkinson's should chain themselves to the doors of pharma companies, or maybe they should, but we as a community, and I mean all of us, have been way too kind, way too passive. This is, if you look at, there's a lot of published work. Not only is this the fastest growing neurological condition, it is also one of the most debilitating conditions. There was a paper in Journal Neurology, Neurosurgery and Psychiatry, and it focused on neurological conditions at large. It wasn't focused on Parkinson's. In the top 10 of most severe motor diseases, Parkinson's was number 2. Only a high cervical cord paralysis was worse. But in the numbers of mental conditions, Parkinson's was also ranked number 2. It's both. And now you're hit twice, right? So we're being way too kind.
So that was Boz Bloom. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second here. Raise your hand if you've read the book. I'd just like to see a show of hands. Would anybody like to share what they feel about the book? Just unmute yourself.
I can chip in, Larry, if you like. Kathy
Sure.
Here, speaking from the Irish German, so to speak. I share exactly what Bas himself said. We are too quiet. We need a community, and we need it now, and we need to stand up and get loud. And everything I read in that book shocked me to the extent that it's all known. It's known that pesticides are a cause for Parkinson's. It's known that it's going to double by 2040. It's all known, and we're sitting around silent, not we ourselves, but the world is just not reacting to this. And we need to damn well react, and we need to get loud. It made me angry, but it made me very hopeful as well, because I knew it was going to be a good bestseller, and I knew it would wake up the world. Yeah, so
awesome.
That's my little contribution.
Anybody else want to add to that?
Yeah, if I could just say something. My name's Rob Warren. I'm from Tehachapi, California. It was life-changing for me too. It just gives me a purpose. I'm just like, I want to march on Washington. I just want to do something about this, stop this. It's just a great book, and I loved it. It was an incredible life-changing thing for me too, Larry.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Johnny Aitchison, your hand's up.
Yeah, no, I am. To be honest, it's the only book I've been able to sit down and read over the past sort of 6 months to a year, and there's so much information. Great about the history, great about the advocacy, great about the research, great about. I think it gave people hope, and it got out. It's done its job, hasn't it? It's got everybody together. It's got everybody motivated. I mean, there's multiple people in this call from around the world. This wouldn't have happened if this book wasn't written. The only thing I would say is I think it needs a few more pictures if they're writing a sequel.
All right, Johnny. Anybody else want to add? Kenneth Howard, maybe raising your hand?
Sorry, Larry, I was just saying hello to one of my colleagues.
Oh, that's great. Anybody else want to share their thoughts on the book? Oh, hello, Lee. Come on in.
Hi, I want to second what everybody has said about the book, and also mention I was very aware and active in some of the environmental movement back in the 70s. And we made, at least in the United States, we made progress with the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act. And I kind of feel like people said, okay, well, we've done that. And one of the great things about the book is it says we haven't finished. There's more to do. And I think this is a way that we can not only benefit ourselves, but everyone.
Yeah, for sure. That's great insight. Yeah, we don't want to stop moving forward, right? Until it's resolved. Anybody else as I scan through these 4 pages?
Barry, I'd like to say something.
Sure, go ahead.
The one thing that really, there's a lot of things written about Parkinson's in terms of handling it from a personal point of view and some of the research that's being done. But this book nailed it in terms of it being the global situation and the global perspective on this disease. And I had absolutely no idea that most people in the world do not have access to the kinds of services that we have here. And it was really quite eye-opening from that point of view. So thanks.
Paul Mayhew Archer, you had your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to say it is an inspirational book, and it's also very accessible. It doesn't get into scientific jargon. It's readable by anybody. And also, we don't need to handcuff ourselves to buildings. If those of us who freeze just manage to freeze halfway across a zebra crossing, we can hold up traffic. If we just freeze when we're in the queue at the supermarket, we can stop the supermarkets going for it. We can cause absolute chaos using our symptoms.
Anybody else want to chime in?
Yes, please, Larry, if I may.
Sure, come on in, Matt.
Yeah, I think it's a beautifully designed book as well, and the ending Parkinson's disease in red, to me, hits exactly what the book is doing, and I find it a real call to action, and it really gets me kind of. It doesn't take an awful lot to get me sort of enthusiastic about Parkinson's stuff, as you all probably know. But this book has just galvanized it, and I'm ready to fight.
You're ready to. I love hearing that. You're ready to fight. Rochelle, you've raised your hand.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the book was fantastic, but I think one of the things that was in it that really, besides obviously around the pesticides and that, but really upset me was in relation to people with Parkinson's in nursing homes. And people who don't get access to care end up in nursing homes earlier. So one part for me in this book was basically, getting access to care is so diverse in terms of, different people around the world, even within one country, and then between countries, in terms of some people not getting access to drugs, others not getting access to neurologists. And in terms of, say, nursing home care, a lot of people who end up in nursing homes, they don't get access to neurologists. So that was a really big thing for me, was the access story that came across. And I think we really need to do something about that.
Great. Did somebody sent me a note that Kat was in the waiting room? Did Kat make it in?
I don't know. I'll check with her now. She was just WhatsApping me.
I don't see her in the waiting room.
Okay, I'll try and get her on again.
Okay, all right. We'll move forward. This is great. I do want to introduce you to the founding members of this group. Here we go. 4 people have entered the waiting room. Here we go. Sorry. How do I find them? Apologies. Here we go. All right, so I want to introduce you to the founding members of the PD Avengers, if you haven't met them so far. Many of them are on this call. Here we go. There we go. So if you can mute your mic, that would be great. There's my handsome face over there to the left. And then Helen. Helen just got done with the grand challenge in Parkinson's disease. Helen, do you want to give me 30 seconds on that?
That was really successfully called multitasking. The door went at the same time as you just... And the joy of working from home is that you just have to run for it. So I'm so sorry about that. So yes, I have to say the PD Avengers joined us for rallying to the challenge this September. And we had an absolutely fantastic series of presenters who were interviewing researchers, but actually trying to provide that wonderful bridge between, you know, really detailed science, but also making it accessible and relevant. Rochelle, your talk, I think, was a complete inspiration. You know, it really was phenomenal. And I think that, you know, Ben's talk on genetics was also a tour de force. So I think, you know, involving the event in some of the work that we've been doing, it has been really, really important, and I think has huge impact. Great, great. And next to Helen there, you'll see Sonia Mather and Tim Haig. They joined me on the executive committee. There is Gary Shaughnessy. And Gary just got done with the three-legged race. You want to talk about that, Gary?
I'm not sure I do want to talk about it. I'm trying to put it back out of my mind now, Larry. But I think one of the things that reading the book said to me was, we can actually do something about this. I think when we're diagnosed, certainly when I was diagnosed, we have this impression that that's it. There's nothing really we can do. We can modify things to some extent, but it's inevitable and degenerative. And in a way, we don't matter enough. And I think that's the big lesson that I took out of the book, which is, one, we do matter. And two, there are things that we can do. And certainly we can do something to stop other people getting the same situation we've got. So that's what motivated me, and I've thoroughly enjoyed being involved in the Avengers. Oh, great. Well, we enjoy having you as part of the Avengers too. Amatola Thomas is there. She is the founder of Parkinson's Africa. Hello,
Hi, Larry.
Hey, can you tell us about the what your pills and Merck and where that conversation is going?
Yeah, so I think most people are aware that, well, I put up a video, I don't recall, 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 2 months ago. I was having difficulty opening my medication, and this had been happening for a while. I was frustrated that day, and I decided to take a video and tag Merck on it on Twitter. And it got quite a bit, well, a decent amount of attention. And following on that, we decided to put out a survey to see how many people also had the same issue. And it turns out that quite a number of people actually have trouble opening up their medication. So we did the survey. I think a little bit over 200 people responded. About over 90% said they did in fact have trouble opening up their meds. I've put all that information, I put all that information together, and I just sent it out to Merck. Actually responded on Twitter saying they were sorry and I should send them a response to an email, which I have done now, and I'm just waiting to hear from them. Hear back.
With the idea being, what we talk about is like, this is where consulting with people with Parkinson's would really make a difference.
Absolutely. And it goes in line with involving patients in every step of the therapeutic process, including the design of the packaging for the medicine that we need to open.
Yes. One of the great things that we're doing is we're teaming up with partners, organizations around the world. And Rochelle struck a great relationship with the folks at PMD Alliance. She and had a talk, as did many of us, where you might have seen us on webinars. Rochelle, talk about that experience and sort of the series that we did.
Yeah, well, this was the power of Twitter. Basically, I had been tweeting about the PD Avengers, and a fantastic movement disorder specialist, Indu Subramanian, contacted me and said, I really like what you're doing. How can I help, basically? So we made contact, and she said, she does interviews on the PMD Alliance website, has amazing webinars on all sorts of different topics with regard to Parkinson's. And we agreed different topics for each of the founding PD Avengers to do a webinar on. So it was really successful, and we will be putting synopsis versions of those webinars on the PD.
That's great. Thank you, Rochelle. That was very successful.
Yeah, and I think that the message for me was, you know, in terms of by getting on some of the social media platforms, and it's to try and get beyond the echo chamber of us just talking to ourselves. We actually need to influence people outside of our walls as such. And so I'd encourage people to, you know, to start getting used to, no matter what age you are, for us to start getting louder on social media and trying to use other channels to get our message across. So that's what I learned from that experience.
That's great. Hugh Johnston, hello. Hugh is one of the guys that helps edit the Parkinson's Research Interest Group on Facebook, along with Martin, who's also a founding member. Do you want to tell people about what that is?
Yeah, Parkinson's Research Interest Group. Maybe that's me there with the fuzzy hair. I don't know. This is a group that has been involved on Facebook. It's almost 3,000 members, and they focus on the facts, just the facts, kind of Joe Friday if you're American. And it's all about what's going on in research and what the opportunities are. And so that's a really cool group if you would like to check them out. And many of our founders are members of that group as well. Over to you, Larry.
Matt Eagles he's a guy that was diagnosed with Parkinson's when he was 7 years old. And last month he did a wing walk. Tell us about this,
Matt. Well, I think having had Parkinson's for nearly over 45 years now, I'm always in search of dopamine highs and adrenaline rushes. I've already done a skydive and abseil, and I've done some crazy stuff, but I've actually always wanted to do a wing walk, but never thought I'd be able to do one because of my dyskinesia. Imagine the thought of wriggling free from the top of an aeroplane at 600 feet in the air, going over 120 miles an hour. It doesn't even bear thinking of. But it's actually, you're actually well strapped in and it's very exhilarating. So yeah, I love PD Avengers. The amount of people, the talent, the wealth of knowledge within the group is phenomenal. And everybody I talk to, it doesn't matter who it is, gets a PD Avengers reminder, and because it affects everybody. Yeah, everybody. So I look. It's a great group, and I'm here till the death.
Well, hopefully that's not.
Well, no, not yes. I didn't mean that. Obviously, till the death of Parkinson's. I mean.
Okay, great. You are you were a member of the Order of the British Empire for services to people with Parkinson's. You're like royalty.
If only. No, I was very honoured earlier this year to deliver the appeal on National Rate for the Cure Parkinson's Trust. And it managed to raise over £100,000, which is some sort of record, we think. But my wife pointed out that it was on Easter Sunday, and the Queen broadcast to the nation just beforehand. So it may have helped that I had the Queen as my warm-up act. But Parkinson's has changed my life in some ways for the better, because it's given me a new lease of life. I've started performing comedy, which I didn't do before. And I've sort of toured the country with a one-man show. And if anyone from around the world wants me to come and do the show, I'll come and do it, and spread the word and tell people about Parkinson's. You know, just
after
once
COVID.
we're out of this lockdown,
yeah.
After COVID, yeah. I think that's an important thing to say. I'm not going to spread COVID around the world. No, it would certainly draw a lot of attention to Parkinson's.
It would, for sure. Maybe not the right attention, but hey, no. You know, all right. And not to outdo Matt Eagles, but I found a picture of Sally Bromley. And Sally, 7 years ago, did a skydive. Hi, Sally.
Yeah, that's me. Oh, brilliant. And this wonderful Liverpudlian behind me called Scouser. Can't think where he got his name from. Absolutely brilliant. And it was 12,000 feet. I thought I'd never get around to the bottom. When I landed, I just said, to infinity and beyond. But you know, I would never have done it if I hadn't got Parkinson's. You know, people say, how did you do it? How did you do it? I said, get Parkinson's, you can do anything then. You know, you've got an excuse, you can make a fool of yourself. You can fall over, you can stumble, you can cry when people tell you good news. It's just a wonderful condition, except that it's not that wonderful, really, I suppose.
Yeah. It's a gift, but it's not one you'd want to give anybody.
No, it's not catching, you know. You go into a room and nobody runs away. But it has, you know, I mean, I've got Paul, who's just spoken. In my group, we work in the same part of the Oxford branch of Parkinson's UK. And, you know, we have so much fun. And so many people tell me how their branches are, you know, dire, dull, and I'm thinking, why? We have so much fun. Mind you, everybody knows about the myriad blank faces people have. So, you know, I can tell a joke to my group. I've got 80 faces in front of me, and it's going. But in the end, I just think, inside they're laughing.
Yes.
And I think inside we're all laughing, and we've just, you know, that's what I think this group has brought so much pleasure in the discussions we've had, high class discussions. And, you know, it makes me, and then looking around at all these people from all over the world, and I've been saying for a long time, think global, work local. Mm-hmm. And I really do believe that if we got to think big, if we don't think big, it ain't going to get us anywhere. But if we think big, we can work slightly locally, we should get there.
That's great.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. Jane Calder is next to you. It couldn't make it, but she is a care partner to Darren. Darren was in the GDNF trial, and Jane is heading up a big initiative come this spring that I think everybody's going to hear about, big fundraiser for GDNF and some others. So looking forward to that. Martin is not here either, but he works with Hugh on the Facebook website. Eli, I don't think Eli is here, but we should tell everybody about the World Parkinson Congress. It's in Barcelona, June 7th to 10th, 2022. If we are able to travel by then, hopefully we will be. We're planning on it. If you've never been to the World Parkinson Congress, this is a great excuse to travel. It's also life-changing, much like this book is. And that's where I met a lot of these people. It's like walking into a room and seeing your Twitter feed come alive. It's quite amazing. And then Ben Stetcher just wrote this book with Alberta Espe, Brain Fables, which you may have seen. And then down here we have three of the four of the authors. I'm going to play a little audio from each of them just so we can set the tone. Hang on. Here's Boz.
Well, I think we're now living in a time of personalized medicine. And what is quality for you isn't quality for me. And I think the time, you know, when I was brought up as a physician, we were happy if the scores that we saw in the examination room had improved. And that was quality. Nowadays, quality is what is decided by the patient and the family. And by the way, we shouldn't use the word patient. It's a person living with Parkinson's. So this is truly personalized medicine. And I think the folks that go see their physician should, before they go, make a list of things they want to see improved. And it's not bradykinesia you want to improve or tremor, but it's your work or your hobbies, the stuff you like to do in daily life. And that is quality of life. And it's different for everyone. Michael Oken and I just wrote a paper that we submitted to the Lancet. A tremor like this can be unnoticeable to a laborer who's used to carrying heavy loads, but it can be completely debilitating to a calligraphist. It's the exact same tremor, and it requires a completely different approach. It's personalized medicine.
what's the problem with doctors is that we look at diseases and we look to treat the disease. Rarely do we say, why did they get that disease? And what can we do to prevent them from ever getting that disease in the first place? Medical school, you know, we all to medical school, you know, you get a disease, this is the treatment. You have diabetes, this is what you do. Heart attack, this is what you do. Cancer, this is what you do. We don't ask, why did you get the heart attack? Why did you get diabetes? Why did you get Parkinson's disease? I was never even taught to ask why they get Parkinson's disease. Now, when I ask about risk factors, I usually find them. What we should be doing is preventing people from getting it in the first place, because better than a cure is to never get the disease in the first place. Better to never get hit by a drunk driver, better never to get HIV, better never to get polio. We need to really think about preventing these diseases, and these kinds of studies will help us do that.
If you back up a couple of decades ago, when we were beginning our careers, and now we're starting to get a little more seasoned. I won't say we're getting older, but we're getting more seasoned. When this idea of chemicals and pesticides emerged, you know, a couple of papers, a couple of reports here or there, I don't think we paid that much attention. And when we think about risks to populations, Larry, what we need is numbers. We need large numbers of people, and we need multiple studies from multiple regions of the world in order to be sure what we're seeing is real. And so, you know, I'm not saying it's anybody's fault, but we didn't pay attention to some of those early warning signs. And it's almost like taking a bet. And what we're talking about is the risk. So the risk, if you're living on planet Earth, that you're going to develop Parkinson. And so, you know, if the bet, you know, structure is, you know, if 1 equals a push, nobody wins. Nothing happens if you get a 1. So you go to Las Vegas, you roll the dice and you get a 1. Nothing happens. Okay, that's a push. If the number, we call it an odds ratio, is less than 1, then whatever you were exposed to lessens your risk of later, you know, developing Parkinson. And if that number is greater than 1, then you're in trouble. Then we're starting to think, okay, maybe some of these chemicals and pesticides could be related, you know, to the risk of later acquiring Parkinson. So more people than not. And the shocking thing is that when you look at this list, not only are a lot of these chemicals and pesticides, you know, above 1, they're up in the 3, 4, 5, 6 range. And sometimes you can be exposed to multiple of them. And
Ray put up 10 said 10 times.
Yeah, well, Ray is the expert on this, so I would never cross Ray on a number. But I'm just speaking to those of us that aren't in epidemiology, trying to speak in lay people's terms, just to say that that bet is so, you know, it's such a good bet, knowing that these people are gonna, you know, potentially get it, and we didn't pay attention to it. But now, Larry, we've seen literally dozens of papers replicating the same findings over and over again. And Boss and Ray and Todd Shearer, that's what we like to see. When we see science, we get excited when we see multiple people publish on something, particularly large data sets. And so we have this information, we do virtually nothing with it.
Can't hear you.
You're on mute, Larry.
I'm going to stop the share for a second as I try to unmute myself.
You're back.
Am I back? Okay.
Yep.
So maybe I'll just I'll just do some quick things here while we're talking instead of showing you the full PowerPoint. because nobody likes a long PowerPoint. But I thought that was important information from the guys, because what they have to say about Parkinson's and how it's preventable is really what's inspiring us to do this. You know, what we are doing, what our task is to add urgency to research, wellness, advocacy by uniting people like you and organizations to the cause of ending Parkinson's disease. You know, Sonia, you had a great explanation about why we're doing this. You know, the fact that it's been over 200 years and all the things that have happened in those 200 years. Do you want to talk about how it's our time now a little bit?
Sure, Larry. I don't remember what I said exactly, but certainly the sentiment's the same. You're right. I mean, 200 years ago, this was sort of described, and since then we've had one gold standard of treatment over 50 years ago developed that we still use. We still compare drugs that we're trying to develop now to that one that we used, you know, that was in our armamentarium over 50 years ago. And if you think of all the advances that we've made in terms of technology and other disease states, I mean, now a diagnosis of cancer is obviously a very serious diagnosis, but it's one that is accompanied with hope, because we know through personalized medicine and genetics that we've been able to target drugs towards specific cancers, and that has resulted in, you know, an increase in life expectancy for those individuals. Yet our drugs are still ancient, and that needs to sort of light the fire under us and get us moving in the direction that we need to do more. Not to mention the inequity that faces the global community of Parkinson's disease, which I think you're going to get into as well. I mean, we live here in a very, you know, North American centric or European centric viewpoint, and much of the world, much of the developing world doesn't even have access to Cinemat. So, you know, those are those inequities that exist as well, we really have to address. But I mean, overall, we just need to make noise. We need to get in there, we need to make our case known, and we need to do something about this because it's time. Can't hear you, Larry. No, can't hear you.
Why not?
You're back.
You're back.
Okay, so apparently there's some glitch where if I share audio, I can't share me. So I need to not share audio. I can't. Okay, so let me try this one more time, and if not, we'll just talk. Share screen. Not sharing computer sound.
Yep. And while you're doing that, Larry, just to build a little bit on Sonia's point, I've talked to Lorraine Kalia, who is at Toronto Western here, and she's talked about how sometimes they have MS envy, that they're actually making strides in multiple sclerosis, and they're developing disease-modifying treatments for that neurological disease. So just because it's neurological doesn't mean it's unsolvable.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have.
You're a bit quiet, but we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I wonder. Okay, so our vision is to end Parkinson's. Our mission, ultimately, over the course of many years, is to unite 50 million voices to prove Parkinson's matters and to build a sense of real urgency to end Parkinson's. You'll hear urgency a lot. The P.A.C.T, the book, the P.A.C.T in the book was prevention, advocacy, care, and treatment. And we've narrowed that down to 3 pillars: wellness, advocacy, and research. And we'll get into what each of those mean. Advocacy is basically that we're stronger together. And our goal, and Gary, you can talk about it, but we're looking to get 1 million PD Avengers by the end of 2022. maybe Gary's not still here. But Gary Shaughnessy is one of the leads of the advocacy group, and we've got a lot of great ideas. But we're going to take one objective at a time, and so this is really a big push for us, and a lot of the things that the other committees are doing are also helping to drive this number.
Yeah, maybe I could speak a little bit for Gary here. If there are 10 million people with Parkinson's, there are 50 million people living with Parkinson's. If you assume that everyone has 5 that are close to them that are deeply affected by the condition. And we need to get people, enough people to show and prove that Parkinson's matters. If we need to get 1 million people. Why? Because if we can't get 1 million people, then obviously it doesn't matter, and it does matter.
Yeah, and we believe we've been silent for too long. We must become loud, uncomfortable, ever-present voice, demanding change in how the disease is seen and heard. Part of our job as advocates is to amplify messages, and we've done a good job of that on social media. But as the numbers grow, as you see things happening on the PD Avengers feeds, please retweet them and repost them and amplify those messages, because we need to get the word out about some of these really important issues. The wellness objective is we deserve the same care. And I don't know if or Rochelle or Kat would like to talk about the objective.
Yeah, well, I can come in if you want. Just to kind of put into context, I actually did a talk there for a Parkinson's support group in Nairobi. And when I was doing the research into it, I was blown away by the lack of access, which I'm sure Omatola obviously can talk to more than I. But for example, in Ireland, we have one of the worst ratios of neurologists to Parkinson's patients in Europe. And that's, we have 20 neurologists to a population of close to 5 million. In Nairobi, they only have 20 neurologists to a population of 50 million. So, wow. I mean, it just absolutely blew me away. And in terms of access to medication, they just don't have it, frankly, or a small percentage have access to levodopa. So there's this huge, and it's not just in Africa, it's the same in India, Peru, across the world, there's real disparities there. So that is a big message that we want to try and get across. And a big thing about the wellness objective and for the whole PD Avengers is to reflect the different gender, nationalities, race, that, age were affected across the board. And we really need to stand up and be, heard more. And I suppose that's the problem, is sometimes we're too quiet. I think that's something that's alluded to in the book, is that the Parkinson's community is too quiet. And part of that, unfortunately, is because, a large percentage are in the older group, for one, and may generally maybe, quieter, but also unfortunately as Parkinson's progresses, it also can actually physically make us quieter. So we really need to start standing up and shouting more for each other around the world.
Yeah, Ray Dorsey makes a big point of this, that we should be making way more noise. Michael Oken told us, you know what, folks, there's just not enough of you making a stink. And Bas Bloom told us, look, we're clinicians. We have to give our patients hope. We need you to make the noise.
Yeah, and so, every person living with PD should have equitable access to basic information and medication and therapies and resources. That's what we believe, and that's part of the wellness objective. And so you mentioned Africa, so it's a good segue. Thanks, Rochelle. We have PD Avengers in Africa, and Amatola created Parkinson's Africa just this summer. Do you want to talk about the initiative you've undertaken?
No, thanks. I'm kidding. Sorry about that. Yeah, so in the summer, I launched Parkinson's Africa. I think definitely through the help and the assistance of the PD Avengers. Launched it with the 7 Reasons campaign, which was a fundraising effort that thankfully raised almost $12,000. And all of those funds are going to purchase medication for people in Africa who can't afford them. So what is Parkinson's Africa? Parkinson's Africa is an organization that is committed to empowering Africans affected by Parkinson's. And our 3 main objectives are these. 1, to raise awareness and education of Parkinson's disease across the continent. If people don't understand the illness, how are they going to even start to figure out, ways to treat themselves or to participate in research? So that's an important focus of ours. The second one is to increase research participation, to increase research and research participation. It's not a secret that the vast majority of Parkinson's research has been done by Western scientists in Western regions on Western people with Parkinson's. And I think we can all agree that, with Parkinson's being the fastest growing neurological condition, the time for a more holistic view of the illness is now. So I am trying to do that for Africa, but it's not just Africa. There's South America, parts of Asia as well. And the third goal of Parkinson's Africa is to, and this is the one that is nearest and dearest to my heart, but it's probably going to be the most difficult to address. And that is improving access to healthcare for patients, low-income patients who otherwise cannot afford it. It's not as easy or it's not as simple as finding stopgap measures like, fundraising, 10, 20, or even 100,000 pounds. We have to figure out a way to create sustainable, our efforts have to be sustainable, effective, and consistent. And I know that that is something that we're hoping to be able to do in the near future through partnerships that we're already making through the PD Avengers. Kat and I were on the phone. We had a Zoom meeting with some members of the Davis-Finney. Very interesting, informative, and helpful meeting with members of the Davis-Finney Foundation. And we talked about ways that we could collaborate to create more culturally relevant materials for people with people with Parkinson's in Africa. That's one of the things we have already started to do. I think, Larry, yeah, I see it on the screen now. We've created an introductory video, just basically telling you the basics of Parkinson's. What is it? How do you get it? Who gets it? Symptoms, etc. And we have it in English, Yoruba, and Swahili that's been published, but also that will be published by the end of this week. I think we have 5 other languages that are in the pipelines: Luganda, Hausa, Igbo, Pidgin English, and French. And we're working on Amharic and Arabic. So that's, I think, it in a nutshell. And we welcome anyone who has ideas of how we can further positively impact the lives of people who are unable to afford their meds. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Now, the third is the research objective, patients before patents. We want to integrate more people with Parkinson's as partners or patient scientists of research, leading to meaningful input at every step of the research process. This is near and dear to Sonia's heart. So Sonia, I'll let you talk for a minute or so on this research and sort of where we're headed.
Sure, thank you, Larry. I mean, I think parallel to the wellness is the research. So along with treating people and helping them live better lives with Parkinson's disease is actually the research into finding better treatments and ultimately a cure. And, we believe as PD Avengers that we need to be part of that process. Much like Boss Bloom had mentioned that, people need to be involved in their treatment choices, we also need to be involved with the research, from sort of directing what the patient needs are in the community, to designing the clinical trials, to dealing with recruitment of patients, to dealing with the dissemination of information once the trials are completed. It's time to move from being sort of grateful recipients of research to being active participants in research. And we hope to do this in a number of ways. We have a great research committee made up of a great number of people, some of whom I believe are on this call and who I extend a great deal of gratitude. They've been working hard. We've been working on creating a paper, hopefully for publication, that deals with why we deserve a seat at the table, what advantages are, and there are many advantages from recruitment to retention to cost, lowering costs for trials. Patients can be helpful to the research community, directing them in the right direction before they blow a lot of money to say that this is what's needed in the community is also important. And we've been working on a paper to prove that. We've also been, they've also been actively engaged in sort of just sharing those one-offs, you know, experiences that we may have as patients that may not, researchers may not be aware of. So this group is working hard towards towards involving patients in every aspect of research. And I think that's a really important thing because this is about us. I mean, this is our disease. There can be no greater experts than us in terms of what our disease does and how we experience it. And the research community needs to know that. They need to be aware of what our needs are. They need to be aware of our usefulness and our desire to make an impact.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Sonia.
Larry, can I interrupt you for 2 seconds?
Sure.
Thank you. I see in the chat room that Natasha said that there are 2 Kenyans, 2 people from Kenya on this call. I just wanted to acknowledge them. I think they would be the first Africans on our PD Avengers call.
Excellent.
So thank you guys. I'm not sure who they are, but thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for joining. Before the call, somebody had asked me to list the committees and sort of some of the contacts for those committees. So there's the executive committee, and the executive committee is made up of myself and Tim and Sonia, and we meet weekly as needed to provide strategic vision and overall direction of the PD Avengers. There's the partners committee, which meets every other month. This committee is for our organizations and groups that are partnering with us. We are planning to work together and break down some silos there. We have the communications committee, which is led by Tim, and we've got a great communications committee that is working hard. Our wellness, advocacy, and research committees. Now, how do you get on them? What do you do? Well, we were going to have windows of opportunity to apply to interview for a committee appointment. And we'll be asking for a 2-year commitment for applicants who are selected. And so we expect that to go up on the website by the end of 2020. So here we are, 1,350 PD Avengers strong from 38 countries. And I've created a map just so you could see where we're at. And it, I don't even, I think I'm missing Kenya maybe. We maybe ought to add Kenya. And
you've got it on there, don't worry.
It's on there, okay, good. So this is what it looks like. The first time I sent this out, I missed South Korea. So we added South Korea. And if there is, if your country isn't highlighted here, please email Larry at pdavengers.com and I'll update it. But this is after 4 months. So I don't know that I could be more proud of the work that everybody's doing. This is amazing. And we are starting to get noticed. In Neurology Today, the PD Avengers was part of an article as they sort of recapped the Ending Parkinson's Disease book. And so we got some credibility. You know, if anybody would ask me in high school, hey, what magazine or publication do you think you'll be quoted in? I don't think Neurology Today would have been in the top 100. But that's all right. It's a real honor. So that's great. And then you know, here's an Avenger, Julie Walker. And you'll notice that on the website, there's who is a PD Avenger, and there's a list of people. So the people with pictures and sort of short bios like this, like Julie has. And anybody can do that. You just have to email Larry at pdavengers.com with your picture and some details about your connection to Parkinson's. And then below that is we list all the names of the people that have signed up. So if you haven't checked that out, it's pretty awesome. And Julie, actually, she's been pretty active. She tweeted out her "Hello, I am a PD Avenger" badge, which you can do, and then she also created a video, sort of a recruitment video. Can you hear that?
No.
Can't hear her, Larry.
Okay. Well, trust me, it's brilliant. And so, she's just one example of some of the great things that people have put out there. And so we encourage everybody to do a recruitment video like that if they want to. Here's a list of our partners. Very proud to partner with all these groups, and we've got more coming. And so that's very exciting. If your group is not on here or an organization's not on here and you wonder why, it's because we just haven't, maybe we haven't talked to them yet. So encourage them to contact us, or you can contact us and we can get connected. But we're happy to partner with organizations that have the same mission and vision, and we can align with. We've been doing webinars, as we've talked about, and I wanted to leave you with some things that you can do before we get into the Q&A. We need help recruiting. So you can recruit 5 more people to be PD Avengers. Do a recruitment video. You can volunteer your superpowers to PD Avengers. And I've listed some folks there that have volunteered some of their skills. From doing some website stuff to doing admin stuff to leading groups to helping to translate material to coming up with great ideas. All the committee members and the founding members, they've all dedicated a lot of time and effort into this. And so if you feel free to reach out and share with us, maybe you've noticed something that needs that could be done better, and you know how to do it. So, think of what you do well and how we might be able to use that. I'll go back to what Sally said, think global, act local. So you now have an idea of what we're trying to do. Look around your local community and figure out what it is that you can tackle. And feel free to reach out to us if you need help coming up with maybe a way to do that. But I want everybody to think about their local communities. We don't have to solve everything at once, but we can solve one thing at a time. And that may, you can have a big impact in your local community. Pick one of the 25 prescriptions for actions at the end of the book and go for it. We send out action alerts every month with 5 actions that you can take. And so you can do that. Oh yeah, do not assume, be proactive, be authentic. So somebody else will do that. Well, maybe not. And amplify messages on social media. Oh. Can you mute your mics, please? If you have your mic open, can you mute it, please?
Missy, can you unmute your mic, please? Thank you.
So you can amplify messages on social media, and this is really important, especially as we grow our numbers. It's kind of cool when you get like 5 shares of something, but we've got 1,300 members here. Let's say 800 of us have social media accounts. If we got 800 shares of the same thing, can you imagine the amplification power of that? That's awesome. Share your stories with us, or with your PD Avengers story with local media or bloggers. You can let us feature your local efforts on our blog. You can share the I Am PD Avenger badge on social media, and you can include PD Avengers in talks that you give, and we can give you talking points, slides, logos, etc. So there's a lot you can do. I did get one another question in advance, where is paraquat used in Canada? I did a little research. Each province and municipality has its own rules, and you do need a license to use it in Canada and the US. But they spray it over leafy vegetables, edible potted legume vegetables, succulent shelled peas and beans, palm fruits, stone fruits, cane berries, bush berries, barley, carrot roots, cucumbers, filberts, grapes, green onions, sweet corn, plus cob with husks removed, turnip roots, turnip tops, also called, well, those are some of the other names that they call it. Less than 50,000 kilograms or 110,000 pounds of it is used annually in Canada, which is quite a bit. And then here is in the US, the map that we saw earlier, and you can see it's hard to see, but the bottom is use by year and crop, and so that's 2017 to the far right, which so the usage of paraquat continues to grow in the USA. So I hope that answers your question. I forget who asked it. Now, open forum. I'll stop sharing the PowerPoint and we can begin to have a chat. We've got a good 20, 25 minutes here to answer any questions you might have or take any comments. Matt Eagles wants everybody to know that every voice makes a difference. So go ahead.
Sally?
I have an odd question. I have grandchildren that don't have emails, but I think they'd quite like to participate in this club. So what do they, how can they belong if they don't have email?
That's a great question. Maybe we need to figure that out. That sounds like another kids committee.
Well, I think that's what I thought about, Larry. I thought, well, you know, there are a lot of children out there who are quite deeply and sensitively affected by this condition, and I think it'd be rather nice for them to be able to have their own.
Yeah,
voice.
and maybe a kids there's Kids Messenger on Facebook, and so maybe there's an opportunity to create like a Kids Messenger group there with it's pre-approved. Parents can monitor. That's one option, but we'll look into that. That's a great.
I couldn't help but think that their artwork might be quite interesting as well.
Oh yeah. So we'll go. I'll write that down. Kids group.
Larry.
Right. Yes. Hello.
I'd just like to invite any grandchildren that might want to submit a picture about what with themselves with some advocacy messages. From the shoulders up, we're going to be putting together in the Wellness Committee a video and photo wall. So that can be a way that they can contribute. So keep your eyes peeled for something on the website to that effect. And maybe they could hold up some original artwork and share why they care about Parkinson's disease.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Kat.
Actually, Larry.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's potential for me to share just a little sort of work in progress on that.
Yeah, let me make you a host if I can find you.
I can just share content, I think, from my.
Oh, okay.
Just see if I can. No, you can't. You would have to make me the host, all right?
And then don't forget to make Larry the host after you're done.
Yeah, you can put it right. I'll put it right back to you.
Thank you. Here you go.
Okay, so I'll just see if I can get my. Eeks. No, not that.
It's a good picture.
I'm trying to see if I can get my website. No, Joe, it's because I'm on an iPad. I can't. Hang on, let me see if I can just bring it up here. Can you see my?
You see your picture?
See me there? What picture can you see?
You with an apple.
Okay, let me just see if I can get this to, okay, tell you what I'll do. Just bear with me 1 second. Just copy this. Okay. Okay, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it in the chat, Larry, and maybe you can click on it and it'll bring it up. There you go. So I'll give you back the host. How do I give you the host back? Can you take the host back?
No, you have to right click on me.
Okay, just wait a second, Mark.
On participants.
Sorry, participants, Larry. Make host. Sorry about that. Sorry. Larry, make host. Okay. There you go.
All right, let's see what we've got here. And I'm going to share my screen. Wish me luck. And then share. And then, hang on. Oh, here we go. So, oh, now I just screwed that up. Hang on. I almost had it. Okay. Where is the chat now? Here's the chat. Click on the chat. There's the link. All right. So you want me to scroll down on this?
Yeah. So just to Kat's point, this is the kind of thing, this is just a work in progress. So what we want to do is basically do a campaign around access to whatever it is that you want for whoever it is who has Parkinson's. So you can see there's a mixture here of different nationalities, different ages. And the idea is that you would share what it is you would like access to. So it might be a Parkinson's disease nurse, or maybe you want a cure, or maybe you would have liked better access for your parent who sadly passed from. You can use a picture of them. It could be a healthcare professional who wants access to, a nurse who wants access to a dietitian, or it could be a researcher who needs grant money. So what we want to do is try and have a campaign that everyone can kind of get behind and basically amplify the voice. So it's just to kind of give you, it's a work in progress, but just so it could sort of visualize what Kat was mentioning.
No, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Rochelle, how can people get in touch with you, or where do they send this if they want to do it?
So what we'll do is, Kat mentioned, we're going to kind of put together a sort of, an explainer to help people, and we'll send it out through the email list that Larry has, and we'll put it on Facebook, etc. So we'll let people know when we have it up and running and what they have to do. So just going back to Sally's point of people being not on the internet. So what people can do is go to their local Parkinson's group and take photos of people, and we can still represent them even though they may not be on the internet as such. So, it really has quite a powerful message, I think, that we can get across through imagery of all the different ages and people and genders and races across the world. So we will be coming back to everyone, but it was just to say, this is an example, and we'll come back and let you know what to do. We're trying to keep it as simple as possible.
We'll probably start that after the first of the year.
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
Rochelle, we can't go to our local groups at the moment, but I really will. I promise. If it's not particularly between now and January, I promise I'll try and get as many of my group to do something for this. Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll try and get the instructions out before Christmas. So, well, it should be, to be honest, in November, so people can start doing it. And obviously I know people are locked down in COVID, but you can do it from outside somebody's window, so if your grandparent is, obviously socially distanced, you can still do it, from, there's ways and means that we can get around this. So, and we want people to do it in their own language as well. It's really important that we get all the, it's not just English speaking and etc. So we're quite excited about it. So hopefully we'll get that out soon and get people excited about it too.
Great, thank you. Julie, do you want to read your recruitment poem now that you're live and in person and since we didn't have the video working?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes? Hi. So I used to be an undercover agent moving through the town. I used to fit in, never letting anybody down. But today I'm a rubbish undercover agent. Parkinson's has messed with my powers. Symptoms make me unpredictable and unreliable. Today getting ready can take hours. PD has also wrecked multitasking. When I freeze, I get in the way. And I often look like I have the ump on a lovely sunny day. Parkinson's is always with me, adding symptoms to the list. When dyskinesia hits, I've been accused of being pissed. But if you take a moment to look inside, beyond my broken brain, I'm still me on the inside. Yes, let me see that again. I'm still me. I'm still a mother and a friend. I can still be annoying. I can still drive you round the bend. Sometimes I think I'm funny. Sometimes I have the ump. Sometimes I'm normal. But that doesn't happen often enough. So I'm joining the PD Avengers to rid the world of Parkinson's disease. Take a look at their website and join with us, please. Together we are superheroes and we won't rest till we're done. I don't own a cape, so I think I'll have to make one. PD Avengers are a global force, bringing together fellow advocates and friends, together working tirelessly to bring Parkinson's to an end.
Yay, thank you, Julie.
Yay.
That's great. Okay, Natasha, you have your hand up.
Sorry, no, I was just clapping.
Oh.
It was really lovely. It brought a tear to my eye, actually.
Oh, okay. Who else would like to speak? Hello, Linda.
Hello. I'd like to just to tell you what's been going on here in Taunton area in Somerset. We've been putting together an idea of a blue stick campaign, and it's very, very slowly going to come off, I feel. And I'd like just to let everybody know that what we're doing is a blue stick with I have Parkinson's, I think is as viable an idea as the white stick was for the blind people. I think it'll really come across and work out very well in time. And I also found out that the white stick actually started here in Somerset. It was picked up by the Lions group, and that's how it actually grew.
That's amazing. Do you have an example there?
I have, yes, I do, but it's not very, I can get it for you in just a second.
Okay.
Okay, just 1 second.
Linda Berard, why don't you go ahead while we're waiting?
Good morning. We were on and off for a while. We were actually traveling, so we're having some connection. So I don't know if you spoke about the COPN, Larry?
I have not spoken about the COPN. Would you like to speak about it?
Well, if time is appropriate, the COPN is the Canadian Open Parkinson Network, which is a network of patients and research driven by neurologists and researchers across Canada. And they've recently sent a letter of, not approval, but endorsement of the PD Avengers, which I think is great news. So they certainly, I don't know if you can consider them a partner of PD Avengers, but certainly a great endorsement in Canada. It's a brand new, organization that was just launched this year. So you might not have heard about it because of COVID, but they're really they have the same mission. Basically, is to put an end to Parkinson's disease. It's research end of it all.
Yeah, it's really great. And Linda, thank you for helping us secure that endorsement. It's a written endorsement. We'll put it on the website, and we're going to try to get that from the other group leaders as well, because I think it's not just partnership, but then sort of that written endorsement is, I think, very powerful.
Yeah. And if I can add, I think without trying to reinvent the wheel, I got a hand on Tim with coffee. The video of his and his explanation of what PD Avengers is, and they made a video out of it. So without wanting to reinvent all the wheel and trying to find new ideas, there's some great testimonies out there to be used for quote unquote advertising or getting attention, which in our case, we reused a video of Tim's and we got over 1,000 pickups on it. So, you know, that's what's already out there.
That's great. And Sonia has a great testimonial for PD Avengers as well. So you can look for hers on the social media. And you can make your own and we can help amplify it. So let's see this cane, Linda.
Right, it's right here in front of me. Just a long white blue walking stick. And in the middle here, it's got, I have Parkinson's. Now, we're not saying, basically what we're saying is that this could be as recognizable to anyone anywhere in the world, really. We don't have to sit there and make all these sticks for everybody all the world over, but you can take the design and run with it. As long as it's blue and it says I have Parkinson's somewhere, it does what we ask it to do, create awareness.
And so if people are interested in contacting you, how can they contact you?
You can contact me through my email, which is queenwasp.
Queenwasp.
Queenwasp. Our club is called the WASP. It's a Williton and Surrounds Parkinson's support group.
So it's Queenwasp at.
Yeah, Queenwasp at. Sorry, and the world's worst. At. Hang on here. 1 second, I'll be right there.
Sure. Does anybody else have a question next? Hello, Helen.
Hello, Larry. I've just been looking at the chat, and actually James Parker had been raising some very important points around P.A.C.T use in the UK. Sorry, not in the UK, across North America. And I do wonder is if there are a number of people who are interested from this group in trying to get to the bottom of what is happening with P.A.C.T use globally, and actually whether we can have a working group within the Avengers that takes this on.
Good idea.
It's not a bad idea.
It's queenwasp@outlook.com.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
I know Linda, and Linda is fantastic. She is absolutely a queen wasp. I've been to talk to down there in Devon, and she is fantastic. I've got one of the blue sticks, which I've inherited thanks to Linda, and I'm so sorry I didn't get back to you when you emailed me recently, Linda. But Linda is marvelous, and we make the most of her because she's a fantastic power. And the other thing I would love to say is that I think we need to challenge the very first thing we're all told when we're diagnosed with Parkinson's. It was certainly the first thing I was told. We're told it's incurable. And it's only just been in the last couple of years that I've realized it's not incurable.
Helen?
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that, Paul. You know, there is a huge amount of work that is going on in the research field to move towards a cure for Parkinson's. And I think that we do need to be raising the profile of that work, but also banging the drum of the urgency of the need to find a cure and to move towards a cure. And actually, it does come back to the point of urgency, which, Larry, you've been talking about throughout this meeting. But actually, I think that this group in particular, the PD Avengers, can urgently make change happen by coming together and sharing their voices and uniting around certain themes. That is how change will happen, and happen urgently.
And that's why we have PD Avengers, right, Helen? It's that urgency that we just need to, somebody's got to bring everybody together to push it over the top.
So if you're interested in the P.A.C.T group, I see people talking about it in the chat room. Why don't you go ahead and email me directly, larry@pdavengers.com, and then we'll find see how many people are involved in or interested in that, and then we'll go from there. Any other questions or comments? Yes, is it Trudy?
Hi, Larry. I just had two kind of comments. When I read the book, what I noticed the most was on the P.A.C.T issue, where Britain prohibits the use of it, but a company there exports it anyway.
Right.
Somebody really missed the boat on that loophole kind of thing. The other thing is, now with Pfizer announcing that they have a possible viable vaccine for COVID, with 90% effectiveness, it's pretty amazing what you can do in 8 months when people collaborate and have big markets involved to get together and actually find and create and modify and whatever it takes to get a new drug or in this case, a vaccine out the door. It's been astonishing that it seems to be a viable vaccine. And if they can do it, why can't they fit on other things like 60-year-old levodopa?
Well, yeah, and so Trudy, I mean, that's where the urgency comes in. There was urgency behind the mission to get a vaccine for COVID, and so all the governments came together, all the scientists came together. They did open science. They started to collaborate. They tore down all the red tape that they said they always had, but now apparently it's arbitrary. So what we know now is that we can do that, and so what that does is give me hope. It gives me a lot of hope for what we can do, because they can't say we can't do that anymore. Rob, go ahead. Oh, you're muted. Still muted, Rob Warner.
All right.
There you go.
You hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. So I love how they say that the book that I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
Another thing I really wanted to say is I want to get involved. I want to help out any way I can. This paraquat team sounds something I would love to do. And what can we do to help out wherever we can?
Great. Well, that's good to know, Rob. So be sure to drop me an email. Let me know you're interested in that group. Wendy, how can I help you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I've had Parkinson's since 2003, and most of the people I've come across, when they first diagnose, you find the doctors telling you that you feel like it's the end of your life, and it's just the beginning. Because they have an expression: "I have Parkinson's. Parkinson's doesn't have me." You don't die of it; it's how we live with it. And, there's more than just medication to help us. So we can live normal lives, but we need more people to give us more of a push. The doctors, most of them are so negative about this condition. It's unbelievable. And I'm still coming across now in 2020 with people still frightened out of their lives when they're diagnosed, because the people they see are not people that they feel comfortable with. And, I think it's a shame because of this Zooming, it saved me, I've been able to do exercise and lots of different things on the Zoom, because I don't know how long this pandemic is going to go on for. So I'm just grateful for that. And maybe we could do more to find around the world just how many people are being given too much medication and not enough natural things, with acupuncture, more natural herbs. I'm sure there's a lot of that could help into the people's daily lives, because so many people are so negative, they're given so much negative information. And, we need to be as positive as possible.
That's great. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. That's an ongoing trend too. Indu, I'm going to mess up her last name, Subharian. Sorry. She kind of blends both Eastern and Western medicine, and I think there's a future there for sure. Who else has a question as we start to wrap up?
I think Martha does.
Hey, Martha.
So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
My name's Martha Johnson, and I'm a singer-songwriter. And listening to all of this, I think that what we need is more visibility. I think everybody would agree. And I had an idea that occurred to me while I've been watching. I have a song that I wrote a little while ago called Fight, 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 and it's about fighting against Parkinson's and getting your stamina together to speak out. And I thought maybe if we took this song, it's a very lively song and aggressive, and we took the song and tried to get like a TikTok kind of thing going. If we had all the people with Parkinson's doing Parkinson's dance, like a video themselves with their kids or their teenagers or their grandchildren, and incorporating some of the movements that Parkinson's is known for, even to make it more visible. And just edit all this stuff together and put out a video and try to get some media to go with it and get a TikTok thing going. I'd be quite happy to donate the song.
Oh, that's amazing, Martha. Thank you so much.
Cool.
The lighter side of what we're talking about. But,
right. Oh, that's great. And then Paul will be sure to give it to the Queen.
Yeah, that'd be great. I want her to dance, so.
Yeah, let's get her dancing, right?
Yes.
We could put it together with a blue stick.
Yeah.
Do some dance with a blue stick.
Brilliant.
That's great.
Available to everybody, and then they can do their own little video.
And that's your superpower. Thank you for bringing it to the table.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. Who else would like to share or ask a question?
Larry, can I jump in really quick?
Sure, yeah.
Hi. For anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Gabby with the Davis Finney Foundation. I do our community engagement work. About the P.A.C.T advocacy, tomorrow I am speaking with a gentleman named Aaron Packard at Michael J. Fox Foundation about advocacy for the continued coverage of telemedicine. So I am happy to ask him a little bit about what the Michael J. Fox might be doing in the advocacy world, because they actually have the people behind them to do the advocacy work in Washington. So I'm happy to ask them about that and what a group of advocates such as PD Avengers could do to help advance that work. And then I'm happy to let you know if that would be helpful.
That's great, Gabby. Yeah, we could also reach out to Ted Thompson, who kind of runs that branch.
Right. Yeah, Aaron works for Ted Thompson.
Okay, great. Yeah, if you want to put it in his ear, and then I think Sonia and I were going to follow up. We're on the patient council there. So,
okay. Great.
But yeah, I think they do already have a petition going on, and so if you go to their website and go to advocacy, I think it is, or policy.
Yeah, and I can send you an email with whatever Aaron does say. I'm a firm believer in the let's join forces rather than try to duplicate efforts kind of piece. And then another note just regarding Wendy's comment on what kind of alternative therapy options might there be than over medication. If you would like to learn more about complementary therapies, we do have the Victory Summit Boise happening this Saturday, where the whole agenda is talking about complementary therapies. And that is a free event to join. It'll be online, so you can join from anywhere. And I will put the link in the chat again. It's at dpf.org. You can find it on our online educational events. And if you register, it'll be recorded as well. So if you're like, oh, I'm really busy on Saturday, actually, you can look back at the recordings. So I'll put the link into that in my chat. And then if you have any questions, you can email me too.
Great. It's just under Victory Summit.
Yep, the Victory Summit.
That's terrific. Anybody else? We have time for one more question.
Can I just jump in, please, Larry?
Sure.
I'm new to the group, so forgive me if I'm covering old territory, but I was interested in the song idea of spreading the word through song. I don't know if you're aware of the New Zealand haka. Is anybody aware of the haka? It's a challenge thrown down by New Zealand warriors. And the New Zealand rugby football
play rugby,
team,
you love it.
the New Zealand rugby football team perform the haka before each rugby match to challenge their opponents and intimidate their opponents. And I'm interested in the advocacy part of it. We could, in Wales, in Great Britain, we've developed what's called the PACA, not the haka, where we challenge Parkinson's. We throw down a challenge to Parkinson's. And if we could get an international PACA with all the people here today joining in and putting on their fiercest look and their fiercest shout and say, who has Parkinson's? We do. Who's fighting back? Who's fighting back? We are.
That's great. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a page on the website too where we can share these ideas so we can capture them. So in the next week or so, look on the website for an ideas page where you can submit your idea. Because I think you all have these wonderful ideas, and we can start local in all your communities and grow them from there. And then we will be announcing a global initiative after the first of the year that you should be looking out for, which is going to be amazing. All right. Does anybody want to say I have Parkinson's?
Can I suggest we put about the rumor that Donald Trump has Parkinson's, and he's having an extended freezing moment, which means that he can leave the White House.
Funny, Paul.
Yeah, we did a hacker in our ballet class. Paul was there. He didn't know the English National Ballet. We did a hacker in our ballet class.
Oh, that's great.
I love the hacker. It's amazing.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. This is an amazing call. We're going to try to do this every quarter at least to catch up, but you can always feel free to reach out to us through email, and look forward to seeing all the wonderful things that we do together. Go PD Avengers.
And thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, folks.
Thanks, Larry. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Hang on.
Getting there.
Hello.
All right.
Whew. How'd that go?
Great.
I think they
thought it was good.
Yeah, I think they were really excited by it.
I think so too.